My good people, my good people. Hello, world. I'd like to welcome y'all back to the show that's hot with your boy Rob Scott. This is Robs2Cents, baby. But it's special, man. I know y'all seen it once before. I love to have my brother on as a guest, and we do our thing with the Welcome to Mars, the Mike and Rob show. But he decided to do me the honor and grace us all with his presence on my show. I'm talking about the knowledgeable man in baseball, the knowledgeable man in football and basketball. I'm talking about men and women, baby. I'm talking about the shot kid, my brother, Mike. What's cracking, Mikey, baby?
What's happening, baby? How we feeling, man? We got a lot of shit going. Oh, we got a lot of
Oh,
stuff going
we
on.
got a lot of shit going on. No, we did this is my show. We talk shit on my show.
Man, we got so much going on, bro. Hey, real quick, before anything, they said it couldn't be done. They said it wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Caruso! Welcome to the Olympics, kid. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Hey, a white bald brother's in the Olympics, Rob. What he said, headband Rob.
Hey, I rock with my boy Caruso. We don't even call him Caruso. That's Caruso. Cause my boy show out when he get on that hardwood, man. But we here though, y'all. Hey, we got a lot to talk about, man. You know what I'm saying? We had divisional rounds in the playoffs happen. It's starting to get down to the nitty gritty in the city. We got big old hirings happen, man. The Bears might have they solved their problems with the new offensive coordinator. We're gonna touch a little bit on that. We got things going down in the NBA. We getting closer to the NBA trade deadline. We got moves being made. We got the All Star game coming up, and you guys know what they say about the All Star game. After the All Star game, the real season begins. It's hard to believe we're already halfway through the NBA season, and of course, man, we are on the eve. We're 3 days away from the tragic thing that happened in 2020, when we lost a legend. I lost my goat. You know what I'm saying? We lost Kobe Bryant, man. So this show is in honor of him and everything that Kobe stood for, the Mamba mentality. As I mentioned to anybody who follow Robs2Cents, he's the reason I'm in the podcast. My actual first video was an 8-minute tribute to Kobe Bryant because I followed that man's career, what I'm saying, very closely. Yeah. I hate to hear people talk about he the GOAT and not the GOAT. One thing you can't deny is that he is one of the greatest players to ever play the game.
Yep.
And as far as discipline goes, he's showing you and showed us all how to get what we want in life. It ain't gonna come easy to you. You gotta put that work in. And that's what I'm doing right now. That's what my boy Mike has been doing. If y'all don't follow the Shot Kids, you crazy. My man been doing awesome work. I'm talking about he gonna keep you in touch with everything going on with the Chicago Cubs and the moves they've been making this offseason. Gonna keep you in tune with everything Chicago. I mean, he gonna run the Bulls down your throat whether we trash or not. My boy Mike is gonna bring you the scoop, man, and I respect him for it, man. So as I always tell y'all, sit back, relax, grab your drink, grab your smoke, kick your feet up, and tune in to the hottest sports conversation in the nation. This is Robs2Cents. And we got to talk about first the Bears made a move for the offensive coordinator in Shane Waldron. And when they made this move happen, Mike,
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bit, conflicted because I didn't know how to feel about this. After hearing all the potential names that we couldn't got, we didn't know whether or not we were gonna keep Eberflus. Then it comes out that we're gonna keep Coach Eberflus. So we like, okay, let's bring in an offensive minded person. I know they was gonna interview Kellen Moore, but the Buffalo Bills said, hell no. We're not gonna let that happen.
Chargers are not going, bro.
No, the Chargers, not Buffalo Bills Chargers. Los Angeles Chargers, and we know they thinking about possibly bringing in Jim Harbaugh or bringing in Bill Belichick. So they definitely wanted to keep that offensive mind thing going. But then, as I start to think about it, I said, well, let's take a look at the Seattle Seahawks. What did he do while he was there? Because he came in on the tail end of Russell Wilson's career, ending of his career there in Seattle. And even though Russell Wilson didn't have the greatest year in that last tenure with Seattle, you have to now think about what did he do with Geno?
Right.
And he bought Geno from the ashes. I mean, Geno was an afterthought. Geno got paid. Now, I'm not going to say it was due to Shane. But Shane had a part to do with that, and Geno was killing it numbers wise.
Yeah.
Not to mention Seattle got in the playoffs last year, didn't it?
100%.
We know what he can do with a guy like Metcalf. We got DJ Moore, potentially, hopefully bringing in Marvin Harrison Jr.
Mm-hmm.
We can make some more moves happen. We got money to spend, and this receiver's not happy where they're currently at. You got possibly, maybe the Raiders wanting to get rid of Devontae, maybe possibly the Bills getting rid of Stephon Diggs. We don't know what we can do in this off season. But one thing I am encouraged is with the way Geno played, you can kind of compare it more to a Justin Fields than a Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives me a little bit of hope that maybe we might be willing to give Justin Fields one more shot. What you think about that, Mike?
I disagree with that last point, but everything else was beautiful. I think the reason you bring in Shane is because of the dual threats that he's had, the different kind of quarterbacks that he's had. People don't realize this man's a two-time Super Bowl champ.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's been in part of both with the New England Patriots, one Super Bowl loss with the Rams in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but he's been in that New England Patriots organization from 2002 on. Spent some time in high school after that, then going to the Redskins, which we don't even need to talk about his time with the Redskins. I mean, that was just a man getting paid. That was just a man.
Hey, it be like that sometimes.
Sometimes it just happens, man. You know, it is what it is. But you know, he's the hottest thing since pants with pockets when it comes to offensive coordinators right now, man, because he's doing it. And when you learn under Sean McVay, you potentially learn under a guy like Bill Belichick. I understand there's differences between offense and defense, but you learn that winning culture is important.
But he also got to be around a guy like Josh McDaniels.
Exactly.
And we know the offensive mind. Now, you know, say what you want to about McDaniels as a coach, but when it comes to being an offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels was one of the top coordinators in the country.
Of course. And then so from 21 on, he's with the Seattle Seahawks. So you look at Pete Carroll, Sean McVay, Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels, etc. It's a great list. But what I look at more is the quarterbacks that were there. Jared Goff, Russell Wilson. People forget Russ was there in one of his last years being there. I believe that's 2021. And then you look at what he was able to do with Geno Smith, kind of reviving him from the ashes, turning him into a Pro Bowler, which I think was really important to see the success in 2024 and 2023, 2024 more than just last season, because now you saw Geno have a great year again. So it's like, okay, cool. This isn't just, you know, striking gold. Like this
wasn't a fluke.
Right.
No fluke, ladies and gentlemen.
Like it was a beautiful thing. But why I bring that up is Greg Roman was the guy I wanted. Greg Roman was the guy where I said, listen, he worked with Lamar. He was the offensive coordinator for the Ravens, and Lamar won an MVP in 2019 with Roman. Now, obviously, Lamar is doing really well without Roman, so it's not to say it's all Roman, but a big part of his development and who Lamar was because of Greg Roman. Here's the thing that I got, Rob, is I've only seen Greg Roman work with guys like Tyler Huntley and guys like Lamar Jackson, mobile-esque quarterbacks. Now, when I look at a guy like Shane, Geno Smith ain't outrunning my 1-year-old nephew. That's just not, Jared Goff, Tom Brady, those guys aren't doing it. Russell Wilson can. So I see a guy who's had very different styles of quarterbacks and has had success with all of them. So I'm looking at that and I'm saying, okay, as much as I want, and you know how I feel about it, as much as I need Justin Fields to be QB1 going into 2024, I'm okay with Shane, because I know that whether it's Justin, Caleb, or whoever, he's going to be able to put them in the best situation possible to have success. He's not just hey, I need this guy to be a mobile quarterback. I need this guy to do this. Hey, you have Greg come in, and I can't speak for what happened, but I would imagine Greg Roman said, well, look at my success with a guy like Lamar. I can do that with Fields. But I'm going to ask you this, Rob. What could you do if I take Drake May? What could you do if I take Jaden Daniels? What could you do if I take Caleb Williams? Or say I go after and take a quarterback that's, potentially going to be traded? What would you say if I was taking Jimmy Garoppolo? If in any world, what would you say? Now, other than I'm crazy, but I think Shane probably had the best answers to all of those questions. And I think that's really where I'm coming from with it, is like, I've seen him have success with so many different quarterbacks, all different styles. This is an offensive coordinator that's going to have success with Fields or whoever's quarterback.
I'm hoping that they keep Fields. I hope that the Bears organization, I know when it comes to negative things about players when they're coming out of college, it follows you like a bad cloud. And not to say that Caleb has done anything negative, but he's being labeled as a drama queen.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, we're talking about a guy who's talking about taking part ownership in the team. Well, we know that no player in history will ever do that while you're a player, because then that becomes something of
Conflict of interest.
conflict of interest, right? So it's like, what are we talking about here? I think we got a gritty guy in Justin Fields. I think that the other day I was watching, the game that they had when they was in the rain, and just watching, this kid who's been knocked down over and over and over and over this season. We see him even in the last game holding on to body parts because he's just been beat the hell up all year.
Right.
I think a guy like Shane, unlike Luke Getsy, is going to be able to instill a type of trust in Justin Fields and really open the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
You see, like I said, we saw what Geno was with the New York Jets, and it didn't look pretty. Everybody was screaming bust, and then we see him get revitalized in Seattle. Not only get revitalized, they put trust in Geno Smith. And I think that's something that matters to a quarterback. Do you trust me? Because the way you call plays shows whether or not you trust me.
Right.
If you're going to call 100 screens, that means you don't trust me enough to get the ball downfield on big-time plays. You know what I mean? And that's what I looked at Luke Getsy. It's like, I get you being conservative, but sometimes being too conservative can be a bad thing. And I don't think that you see that with Shane. I think they're going to try to mix it with a balanced attack because the Bears have had the best one offense last year, and we came in second this year. And I think that's something that he likes as well. Coming from that Seattle tree, they were a rushing team. So I think that could bode well for the Bears. I actually like this pickup, man. I'm starting to get excited. I don't know if I'm worse than Cowboy fans. You know what I'm saying? You start to get excited all over again and hope for yourself that they're not preparing you for the big letdown. But I'm not being one of those ignorant fans that's saying Super Bowl next year. Well, all I want to see is us have a winning season and beat Green Bay.
Yeah, 100%.
Because Green Bay right now, I know our boy Tony. We got love for our boy Tony. Shout out to our boy Tony.
Yes.
He has a true disdain for Jordan Love. But I'm telling you right now, Jordan Love is him. Yeah. I really think that the Green Bay Packers hit the jackpot with that quarterback. And I think in order for the Bears to be a real contender in the North, we're going to have to strike gold as well. And I think we have it in Justin Fields. We just need it to shine.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, you brought up a lot of great points. And the one that always comes back to mind for me is I've seen Shane do it before. I've seen them have a plethora of wide receivers. A lot of people question, well, how are you going to have Marvin Harrison Jr. and DJ Moore? If you look at the NFL landscape today, there's for real championship caliber teams. I'm not talking about the Buffalo Bills. I'm not talking about, other teams. Like there are several X factors that are and when you have a team with DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith, and Jigba from the Ohio State University, and then obviously Tyler Lockett, you have to take in the thought that, hey man, listen, we can do the same thing with DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Marvin Harrison Jr. Boom, boom, boom. And I am still a believer in a guy like Tyler Scott. I don't think he's going to be a wide receiver 2. I think a wide receiver 3 in the slot.
Oh yeah, put him in the slot.
Just hold on to the football is all I ask for Tyler Scott. I know it's going to come in time. What he did in Cincinnati with Desmond Ridder was absolutely phenomenal in college. And I still believe if you put him in a position to where he is wide receiver 3, you have 2 X factors and a great tight end in between, you're in a situation to have success. On top of that, Justin Fields is there. So you never know what's going to happen. And the running back room, I'll tell you what, if we have all those other things figured out, it don't matter who's the running back because we're going to run it. Like that's just, we in there like swimwear, Rob.
Like swimwear.
Love it. But can I ask you one thing?
Yeah.
Because it's off topic, but it's on topic.
Mm.
You mentioned Geno got an extension.
Mm-hmm.
His head coach and the offensive coordinator that helped make him into that are gone now.
Yeah.
What do you think happens with the Seattle Seahawks in the draft this year? We talk about number 1 overall pick. Could you potentially see the Seattle Seahawks, maybe not number 1, but trading up to get a quarterback?
I don't think they trade up to get a quarterback. I think they really have faith in Geno. I think Geno has shown. I mean, if you look around the landscape, great quarterbacks or even good quarterbacks are not just growing on trees.
Right.
So when you actually get a quarterback that can get the job done, he's been serviceable. Even though the Seahawks didn't make the playoffs this year, they were close. And I think you got to deal with injuries, you got to deal with all type of things that go on throughout the season. Pete Carroll, maybe that wasn't probably the first time that they heard he wasn't going to be there at the end of the season.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, at the end of the season.
I think that's been a couple years in the
you got to think about things like that, and as you start to get trust in these coaches, it's kind of hard to see. It's hard to adapt to change in any situation. But I think Geno, he's shown that he can get the job done, and especially after they just paid him, I don't think you just immediately move on.
Right. See, I'm not saying necessarily move on, but I think you're going to bring in a new head coach, a new offensive coordinator. That head coach is obviously going to want to see who is the quarterback of the future, and it is not Drew Lock. Respectfully, as good as Drew Lock had, Horsecock Lock is not going to be rocking out too much longer in Seattle. His nickname. Now, I ain't going to listen.
I rock with Drew Lock, though. I seen him singing Jeezy on the sideline. I said, that's my dude.
Bar for bar. That man. But I think you could definitely see them. You talked about Jordan Love. You see them in a situation to where, just like Aaron Rodgers, Aaron, we're still rocking with you, but we're going to draft your successor because we need somebody to be mentored. We need somebody to be in this system when you do fall. And listen, not to say Geno's going to fail, but I've never seen Geno have success without Shane and Carroll. So now that they're gone, what's that going to look like? How's that going to, come into fruition? I don't know. So I think it's definitely possible we see them trade up.
We'll see, but then you also got to think about the possibility of how many teams really need a quarterback. I know New England's not giving up their spot. Washington's not giving up their spot. These are people who need quarterback. Maybe they make a trade with Arizona because I think Arizona is going to stand behind Kyler Murray. But
now, I got a little thought. And then we go on. I promise you.
I don't think the Bears are not trading with Seattle.
Oh, of course.
Okay. We won't get anybody we want if we do that.
I just want to get Rob as much clickbait as possible. You know what I mean? So let me set the scene for you. You ready for this? Pete Carroll's gone. Seattle needs a savior. Russell Wilson's a free agent.
You think he goes back? No.
Could you see a return to Seattle without Carroll?
No.
Okay, I'm not against you. I'm not with you. I'm just asking.
Because you still got to think about the players. You got to think about chemistry.
Right.
DK was there. Lockett was there.
Right.
And if Russ is as bad as people have been saying he is, talking about teammates can't call him personally, and he got reserved office spaces and reserved parking lot spaces, and he thinks he's above the team. As a team, do you want that back in your locker room?
Right.
You gotta think about that.
Okay.
And my boy Cam was like, you wasn't there, but they was there. All right, man, let's stay on topic, baby. As I mentioned, y'all, we had some exciting games happen this weekend. I was crushed watching the Detroit game, man. Laporta was supposed to give me a touchdown so I could win $1,200. He didn't do it. But at any rate, we're going to talk about the divisional round this weekend. I'm going to go in order based on the schedule that they came in, man. I'm going to show you guys this so you guys can see who is still left, man. We saw Tampa Bay get eliminated by the Lions. Green Bay get eliminated by the 49ers. Texas get eliminated by the Ravens. And, of course, the Bills, who unfortunately just can't get right, got eliminated against the Kansas City Chiefs, man. We're going to start off with this Ravens game where the Ravens defeated the Houston Texans 34-10. C.J. Stroud, the young upstart rookie who's just been a sensational player all year, unfortunately ran into the number one defense in the league. And it showed.
Yep.
C.J. Stroud on the day, 19-33 for 175 yards, no touchdowns. Didn't throw the game away with an interception, but he wasn't the problem. The problem was the rushing game of the Houston Texans. As a team, they combined for a grand total of 38 rushing yards. As a team. What did they do on the other side of the ball? Oh, Lamar Jackson decided to have a day. He decided to show everybody who said that he couldn't get it done in the playoffs that he could get it done. Lamar Jackson on the day, 16-22, 152 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and also said, oh, yeah, did y'all forget y'all used to call me a running back too? So I'll give you 11 carries for 100 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns as well. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. And even though he ain't had his boy, what was the tight end name? Mark Andrews.
Who's on the rise? Who's on the rise? Might play this week, Rob.
Yeah, he might, but I don't even know if I want him to do it because You got Isaiah Likely who's saying, "Hold on, I think everybody's starting to like me." And he gave you a touchdown. He's been a sensational tight end
It's
for
likely.
Lamar Jackson. He's likely to score. Hey, Mike, let's talk about it, man. What did you get out of this Houston Texans game versus the Baltimore Ravens? And did it shock you that the Ravens came out and dominated like that?
Yes, sir. It didn't shock me at all. I was a full believer that they would beat the Cleveland Browns. And
Yeah,
that wasn't because of the Cleveland Browns coming up on shortcomings, but it was mainly just because I believe that this defense can go tick for tack with that Cleveland defense. Now, the
yeah,
difference is, you have a bunch of killers. You can always have a bunch of killers. They were Chicago fans, all Rob's viewers, all my viewers, everybody in here from on the defensive side of the ball.
yeah.
But you need a shooter. I always talk that you need that marksman. You need that dog, that guy slinging it on the other side. And as much as I love Flacco, it just wasn't. You know what I mean? Great story, great ending to probably a potential Hall of Fame career. But it was time. So you look at that, and then you look at the Ravens, who on both sides. I got killers left and right. I feel like I'm in Cook County Jail right now. It's absolutely terrifying. Like, you got guys in Flowers, who's an all-pro rookie. You got guys like Odell Beckham Jr. saying this is the greatest team he's ever been a part of. Mind you, this man just won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago with Cooper Kupp almost getting the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Donald. I mean, some of the greatest names, Matthew Stafford and so many others. I mean, we get into it all day. We could talk about it, but OBJ is solidified in this Ravens offense when people said that he wasn't ever going to be anything ever again.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of cats like Likely.
Yeah.
Likely going to be your tight end one next to Mark Andrews when he comes back. I mean, you got a dual threat tight end attack.
You can run it right. I was about to say that, man. I mean, Tom Brady made that really famous. As far as long as I've been watching football, and I know he was with a killer, but when he had Hernandez and Gronk,
listen,
I'm talking about nobody wanted to see that. Hey. Even in Tampa Bay, you had Ottoman and Gronk. Like, I mean, they look for those big boys, especially in the red zone.
Had some killers in New England, man. But
real talk.
But man, it's definitely a conversation to where CJ is on the rise, and Lamar to him. Lamar told him, man, hey, listen, bro, the world's waiting for you. Like, you just got to go up there and you just got to get it. And CJ said, CJ was very emotional, but I'm going to tell you a little story I heard from Will Anderson after the game. Will Anderson's in tears. Will Anderson's upset, understandably so. I mean, the Texans trade up to get Will Anderson. They pair up not only the best defensive player in this year's draft, but the best offensive player as well. They did something amazing. I would love to see the Bears do something similar, but Will Anderson's emotional. He's crying in the locker room. CJ Stroud walks up to him, not a tear in his eye. He said, hey, we'll be back. Don't even trip.
Yeah.
And that's a leader. And I love what we saw from CJ Stroud. And I had to give him his flowers. But Lamar Jackson,
he's a dog.
Lamar Jackson's a monster, though. Lamar Jackson, listen.
MVP.
The MVP stuff was cute. But my man's on a different mission. He already got one of them things. He don't need two. And he's going to get two.
Well, you know what? The question with Lamar Jackson was always, we know what he can do in the regular season. Can he get it done in the playoffs? As he was 1-3 coming in, not making it to the got beat the other time in the divisional round against the Tennessee Titans. Where I remember that game, right? It was during his MVP year.
That was King Henry too, same time. I mean, it was
So and then you think about the whole nonsense that he went through during this offseason. Him going back and forth with the Ravens. Yeah, and the Ravens actually came out and said that nobody's interested in it.
Nobody.
You know what I mean? They were good. I'm pretty sure that a lot of if that is true, the teams that wasn't interested, how do you like him now?
Right, 100%.
You know what I mean?
I love that though, Rob. Like I that's a guy I've been rooting for a few years now.
Yeah.
I got some flack on Mike on the mic and some of my guys. I did say at the beginning of the season and in my quarterback rankings, I had Justin Herbert higher than Lamar Jackson. And sure, y'all can come at me, but you should keep that same energy because no one else had that motherfucker higher either. Let's just be real. But I love it, man. I think it's his time to shine, his time to show the world that he is going to be, I would say, you could correct me if I'm wrong, if history's past has told us otherwise, this would be the first mobile quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
Well, unless you want to count Aaron Rodgers or Steve Young. but they're not mobile like Lamar Jackson's mobile.
Aaron Rodgers.
But let's be honest, who really is mobile like Lamar Jackson?
Well, that's the thing. I think
we've never seen a guy like Lamar. And what thing I love about his relationship with Coach John Harbaugh, is that John Harbaugh loves him to death. He's gonna defend him to the death. The play calling that they did for Lamar Jackson, what they wanted to do was to show the world that he can pass out the pocket, but they didn't eliminate what makes Lamar Lamar.
Right.
And they saying, damn it, if you gotta go, you gotta go. And now we see Lamar even take that. Like, he's extending plays to 9 seconds. That's unheard of in the NFL. Anybody who watches football know at playing in the park, you got at least 5 seconds to get the ball.
Right.
Playing in the NFL, you got about 2.75 seconds before that defense collapses the offensive line and starts to get pressure on the quarterback. For Lamar Jackson to be able to not only extend plays with his lateral movement, but still be able to control the pocket and to show people that I can get the ball down the field, not just with my legs, but with my arm as well. It's been amazing. And he's shown he's worth every bit of that $230 million they paid.
You know what's exciting about for me though? Like you gotta if you're a Chicago fan right now, this has to make you excited. You want to root for a guy like Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, for sure.
You know why? Because you mentioned, have we ever seen a cat like this? Have we ever seen a guy extending plays to 9 seconds? Have we ever seen a guy just completely utilizing his legs, but also creating plays with his arm? We have. And I think, let me paint this picture. If Lamar,
my boy MVZ,
listen to this. If Lamar Jackson wins the Super Bowl this year, that has to compel Ryan Poles to wanting to keep Justin Fields, because it shows you that not only can you win games, but you can win the big game.
Yeah, and you can help develop. I think one thing that the NFL and most fans, they forget about is a lot of these kids have raw talent coming out of college. Mm-hmm. What these coaches and coordinators get paid to do is develop talent.
Right.
And I think sometimes that gets lost in translation. Mm-hmm. You have to develop talent. Nobody's going to come out, there's only going to be one Magic Johnson. There's only going to be one LeBron James. As great as we hold Tom Brady in high regard, he wasn't Tom Brady, not even doing their first Super Bowl win. Right. He had to develop to become Tom Brady. And I think that's one thing that a lot of fans and a lot of football, quote-unquote, aficionados, they forget that. You have to develop. And I think Lamar Jackson, because he did so great so quickly, right, that now he started to get compared on a different scale. You have to remember, this dude is still learning the game himself. Mm-hmm.
You started to really see it. And you know what, Rob? I think that's a great thing because, what was it, Rob? Correct me if I'm wrong. Year 2, you win an MVP, right?
Yeah. Win the second year.
When an MVP gets a little quiet for a little while, you're trying to figure things out. Now, mind you, when Hollywood Brown and Rashad Bateman are your wide receivers, it's a little hard to make some noise. I'm not going to lie. Hollywood Brown was dropping passes left and right in the end zone in Baltimore. Now, Arizona, he's looked a lot better. But in Baltimore, there's a reason you got traded, bro.
Yeah, and not to mention the injury problems that they had.
Oh, man, left and right.
You lost all 3 of your running backs?
Did you hear what happens? Do you know what happens? So here's what happens. All right. So you got the paper right here.
Yeah.
Signing a contract about 3 year, $15 million. Rob Scott and Mike Hughes going to be RB1, RB2. No order. Because, we share, baby. We share. So we about to ink it. The second that pen hits paper, baby, a back to the knee. You gone. You over with. That's how you become a Baltimore Ravens running back. You immediately injured. It's tragic. No panic. But it's, it's something right now for me. Watching Lamar learn how to win was something that didn't come from the jump. This was something that took time, because this is something that John Harbaugh, respect to John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh hasn't won that much either outside of the beginning of his career. Now they're starting to see, how are we going to win in the 21st century in 2024? How can we do this? And they found a way to do it. We talked about Joe Flacco earlier. The Joe Flacco era, that's over with. We got different kinds of quarterbacks, all different kinds of cats and defenses and schemes. The wide receivers, oh my God, what's in the water? I don't even know. These guys look like they are ginormous humans. So to see, remember back in the day, Calvin Johnson was like an anomaly. Now we got DK Metcalf just running around left and right. I'm crack babies. But it's great to see Lamar learn how to win. And that's exactly what we're going to see CJ Stroud slowly turn into as well. So I think the league is in amazing hands.
It is, and the AFC is stacked. I just want to give 2 shout outs before we
Mm-hmm.
continue to talk about the rest of the game. First, I got to give a shout out to Coach D'Amico Ryans.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, the amazing job that he did coming in as a rookie coach with all eyes on you. Where a lot of people doubted you. What did this defensive do? He wasn't even that great of a defender. When he played football, and what can he do? And you can tell. Like my boy Dan Campbell, who I think right now is one of the best coaches in the NFL. He wins the locker room. Like when he says something, his team believes him and they're ready to run through a wall for him. So I just have to give rookie coach, head coach Coach D'Amico Ryan his just due because what he did with this Texas team was absolutely amazing. And then I know a lot of the attention is going to be on Lamar Jackson when it comes to the Ravens, but we have to talk about that stellar defense. Like we're talking about, we saw what C.J. Stroud had just done previously to the Browns and how they went in there and they were able to just go crazy on the offensive side of the ball and to get to this Ravens team and to be held scoreless. Remember, their only points came from a fucking punt return. So like that shows you how deadly this Ravens defense is, and it's led by our boy, former Chicago Bear Roquan Smith, and what he's been able to do with this Ravens team. And I've become a fan of Kyle Hamilton, the safety they got over there. That dude is a shut down, lockdown dude, and he gonna hit you hard. Like this
Mm-hmm.
Ravens team, and remember, I don't think they got a sack. That shows you how great this team is, and just getting pressures and making you do things that you don't want to do, and they didn't even get a
Right.
sack.
Sometimes man, you get into those situations, you don't even need a sack because the quarterback's throwing the ball out right away. And that's we talked about that with Jalen Johnson, Rob. I mean, yeah, maybe the interceptions aren't always there, but that's because no one's throwing to him, baby, and that's a good problem to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it was awesome, man. And real quick, because I know we flying through these topics, and I know y'all loving it. Roquan,
yeah.
shout out to him. I
We
mean,
miss you. We miss you, Roquan, man.
man, Rob misses you. I didn't fuck with the ending. I didn't like that.
I get how he left, but you
But
also got to think about we don't know what went on
right. But
in the locker rooms and things like that. And a happy player is a player that's gonna play well.
for sure.
And I'm just gonna, you can tell immediately. It comes back to what we talked about with Lamar Jackson, belief.
Right.
Do you have belief in me to be the guy? And to also put him in position to talk to veterans like Ray Lewis.
Right.
Did a Hall of Famer, one of the best middle linebackers to ever do it, and for him to come and not only mentor you, but then give you his stamp of approval and say, "Now go out there and run this defense like I know you can." It just hit different.
And
It hits
that
different.
was me, bro. That was where I was like, you know what? Roquan said what he said about the Bears organization, Bears
Yeah,
fans, and his former
yeah,
teammates, and that is what it is. But one thing is true: Roquan did everything he said he was going to do. So I got to
yeah,
give my flowers to him. He said he was the number one linebacker in football, and
yeah,
he's showing you that he is. So shout
yeah.
out to him, man.
Yeah, I got to give him some love. In that second game, man, we had another number one matchup. Fresh off that bye week as well, we had the San Francisco 49ers going against a very hot Green Bay Packers. This Packers team had just eliminated the Dallas Cowboys. Aaron Jones ran all over them. Jordan Love out there looking like, I'm not even going to say the second coming of Aaron Rodgers. He was looking like the first coming of Jordan Love. And the boy about to make a name for himself. But unfortunately, they went against another team went against another high powered defense. And we all know what they can do on offense. Now, the 49ers will go on to defeat the Green Bay Packers 24-21. As I mentioned, Jordan Love, still tried to do his thing, but unfortunately, he had two costly interceptions. 21 to 34 on the day, 194 yards, two touchdowns, two INTs. And Jones continuing his hot streak had 18 carries for 108 yards, but wasn't able to see the end zone. Now, Brock Purdy, we talking about a guy that's been under so much scrutiny, and you know my nickname for him. That's Brock, my game so Purdy.
Mhm.
And I'm talking about 23 of 39, 252 yards, one touchdown, no interceptions. One thing I always say about a quarterback, you might not be able to put those points on the board, but just don't give the damn game away. And he was perfect on the day, not throwing for any turnovers. Christian McCaffrey, though, who, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care what you say. I know we used to the status quo of running backs being black, but let me tell y'all something. We saw white men can jump, and now we're seeing white men can run too. because Christian McCaffrey, 17 carries, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I'm going to let y'all know something right now. You heard it here on Robs2Cents. That's the best damn running back in the league. I'm telling y'all right now. George Kittle showing up. He said, y'all keep mentioning the Travis Kelce. Y'all keep mentioning the Isaiah Likely. Y'all keep mentioning the Dawson Knox and the Dalton Kincaid. You forgot that I'm him when it comes to the tight end. 81 receptions, 1 touchdown, and the unsung hero, I got to give a shout out to my boy Mike Hughes because we were doing the show and he gave me a shout out for mentioning this man's name. When everybody, anytime I hear anybody talk about the 49ers, I don't hear nobody talk about Jawan Jennings. And I'm here to tell y'all something right now. I told y'all Jawan Jennings got the potential to be one of the great receivers in the league. The boy had 5 receptions for 61 yards. I know you like, Rob, that ain't nothing. Oh, out of his 5 receptions, 4 of them were for first downs. That means he was making the timely catches when he needed to make it. Because one thing I didn't mention in this game is that Debo once again goes down with a shoulder injury in the first quarter. So you had to go in this game without your best receiver, your best player. We're not even just gonna say receiver, best player, because we know Debo is a utility tonight. You say Debo, I need you to run the ball, he'll do that. You say Debo, I need you to catch the ball, he'll do that. Hell, you might even say Debo, I need you to play linebacker. You might jump his ass on defense and go do that.
Debo.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? And then we got to talk about that defense. My boy Drake Greenlaw, 2 interceptions on the day. You know, making life tough on Aaron Jones, man. And that defense is able to show up. You know, it looked a little shaky for the 49ers at first, man. Like I said, game came down to the wire. 49ers able to get the walk-off touchdown at the end of the game. You know, McCaffrey doing what McCaffrey does. He just does C-Mac things. But you know, looking ahead, they're gonna definitely need Debo. But if we take a look at this game, man, tell me how shocked. I know us as 2 Bears fans, it probably brings us much pain to give the Packers so much love. But remember, in some of Jordan Love's first games when he got to come in as a starter before he became the essential starter of the Green Bay Packers, he didn't look good. He was throwing 3 interceptions. He had a lot of. I know you had me questioning, is this guy as good as I thought he was? But he comes into the year, the dude throws 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, gets his team to the sneaks into the playoffs, and then eliminate the winner of the NFC East crown in the Dallas Cowboys. Put their dreams to shambles, and almost does what Aaron Rodgers couldn't, and did what Aaron Rodgers couldn't do, and beat the 49ers. I mean, took them down to the wire. Mike, let's talk about it.
Yeah, man, you know, I'm a huge Jordan Love fan coming out of college, you know, and taking you back all the way to 2021.
Yeah.
I love Jordan Love, like no pun intended. And I thought he was a dual threat quarterback that could have been phenomenal in the right system. But I won't lie to you, I started hating the man the second I heard draft day. You know what I mean? I said, all right, no more flowers. Now it's time. It's time to get after it. You know, I ain't doing no corners. Like if you crap, you crap, and that's just what it is. Now they're painting him to be the second coming of Aaron Rodgers, and that's exactly what he's been. And I'll tell you why. Because one thing Aaron Rodgers could always make sure happen was losing to the 49ers. And so far, doing exactly that. You know what I mean? Like, hey, he's doing exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, hey, spot on. That's, you know what I mean? We talking about from one to another. The bridge has been released. The people are walking, and I see Christian McCaffrey walking his way to an NFC championship in despite of Jordan Love. So I love that, man. But I will give Jordan Love his flowers. I know Tony is not a Jordan Love believer, or more so he doesn't like the fans of Jordan Love.
Yeah.
But Jordan Love is a good quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't think he's reached quite elite. And when we talk about elite, we are not talking about the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. We're talking about the one of ones. We're talking about the Patrick Mahomeses of the world, the Joe Burrows of the world,
the Lamar Jacksons,
of the world, and at one point the Aaron Rodgers of the world. Court is still in session on that. We'll see what happens next year. But you know, there's a lot of conversations, Rob, that, you know, you look at that and you say, man, you should have started Jordan Love in that final game against the Lions.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're into a point where it's like, hey, man, this kid's a baller. This kid learned, whether it was from Aaron physically or verbally, or it was just from watching him. You know, he learned from Aaron, and he's learning from LaFleur. So shout out to the boys up north. Obviously, we will not speak their name, but regardless, they're doing their thing, and it's putting some heat on Ryan Poles because you're having those conversations about, okay, well, they just lost Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, and they ain't missing a beat. They making the playoffs. So why are we having excuses now? You know what I mean? So we
not
lost.
To mention the North is getting tough because Detroit ain't going nowhere.
Right.
Now you see this elevation of Green Bay, and remember, Cousins will be back next year for Minnesota. Well, and you got to think about the fact that they still got Justin Jeffries, and then they got that kid Addison. Yep, that kid Addison is a dog.
They got T.J. Hawkinson as well. They got.
So you got to think about it now. The North is competitive. We the North, and I want to see the damn Bears hold up another divisional title. I need it for my soul.
The Bears are competitive as well, and I think that's the beautiful thing. I think the beginning of this season, everybody said it was Detroit's division to win. There was nobody that was even coming close, and it ended up being a lot closer than people expected.
Yeah.
For second place, I believe there was only a 1-2 game difference for all three opponents in the Bears, Packers, and Vikings.
Yeah.
So to play devil's advocate too, it might not even be Kirk Cousins, Rob.
Yeah.
Not the Russell Wilsons of the world available.
Yeah.
Like if, let's say, for sake of argument, not to keep talking about Russ, but say Russell Wilson ends up throwing passes to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and T.J. Hawkinson.
That might hit different.
That's different.
That might hit different, but they're gonna get that. They're gonna have to get that line together.
100%. But they just.
But I will say this: it's something about North, because like if you look in the AFC North is the toughest conference. Toughest division in football.
Right.
Like we talking about every team in that division had a winning record. So it is looking like the Bears, looking like the NFC North is building up to be a heavyweight bout. Now, one thing I will say about the Packers in hindsight, it's unfortunate that they went for it on 4th and 1. I think that was early in the second quarter. You got to think about it. In playoff games, points matter. And you have to get your field goals in when you get your field goals. And I understand that, sometimes you want to put the hurting on teams and you want to go for the touchdown, but you got to take your points when you can. Right. You definitely going to see that when we talk about Kansas City Buffalo game coming up shortly. But you just look at that. You got to get your points when you can because you never know when you're going to have that opportunity again. And I'm about to make a bold prediction. Everybody know I got the 49ers to win it all. And it's crazy I'm about to say this. I might get killed for this. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at Brock Purdy to be the second coming of Tom Brady. I am. I think the way Brock Purdy played, remember the kid goes undrafted. You know what I mean? So or last pick in the draft. So we're talking about a guy who has a lot to prove, who's come in. I know everybody's saying he's a game manager. That's how Tom Brady started. He was a game manager. But Brock Purdy has shown me flashes where I'm like a real fan of this dude. Like everybody said, he doesn't throw it down the field. What does he do to Kittle? What was that? Was that not down the field? Was that not accurate? Was that not in the catching pocket where all Kittle had to do was Kittle didn't even have to reach out and grab it. It fell into his body to do a body catch on a 40-yard bomb. And this talking about for a guy that says he doesn't throw it around the field and the way that he controls the pace of the game. I'm pretty sure that had to be a shock to everybody to see Debo go down in the first quarter. Yeah. And they was able to pick it up, and he even elevated the play of Juwan Jennings.
You remember, let's talk about 2 years ago, man. I mean, if Debo goes down 2-3 years ago, they lose that game.
It's over with.
That's all they had was Debo and Kittle. So you've seen them get to a point now to where, listen, I'm not praying on anybody's downfall, but even if Christian McCaffrey went down, I don't think that completely throws away what happens with the 49ers offense.
It's still Dub Nation.
For now.
I ain't jumped out the ship yet. I told you, I ain't going nowhere till Steph goes.
Till Curry
get back to what we talking about.
Till Curry goes.
I ain't going nowhere till Curry goes.
For real, though, I wanna point something out because I think it's important. We talk about game managers, and I think Cam Newton was right to a degree when he listed his list of game managers.
Oh, he was completely right.
He was spot on, and Brock is a game manager, but that's not something to take away from somebody. Like, yeah, Brock's not a complete athlete. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's not and when I say complete athlete, obviously he's an athlete because he's in the NFL. That's your point blank here. Even if you're a fucking kicker, you are an athlete in the NFL.
You are an athlete. I can't kick the damn ball like that.
Bro, we've seen that. But with that, you say, okay, answer me this, Rob. Why couldn't Jimmy Garoppolo win like this with the 49ers?
That's a fact.
Because winners win. And we always talk about how winners win. We're going to talk about
That's
KC next, and it's a perfect transition. But Brock Purdy is showing me that he's an elite quarterback, not because of what he does on the field, because of the way he moves or because he runs a 4-4 flat. Like, I don't care about any of that. Listen, you might not be Lamar Jackson. You might not be Patrick Mahomes. You might not have the sidearm, but, man, that motherfucker wins. And that's what he does. Because, listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. Sam Darnold and Trey Lance were also on this 49ers roster. I bet every pretty penny in the world that they aren't in the position they're in now if those two are starting at quarterback.
They're not number one in the league. I don't care how great your defense is. And as we know, that 49ers defense is great. As I mentioned to people, I've never seen a team like this where you have so many playmakers on both sides of the ball.
Yep. Like
if you look on the offensive side, you got Debo, you got Brock Purdy, you got George Kittle, you got Brandon Ayuk, you got Juwan Jennings, and then you got the best running back in the league, Chris McCaffrey. And then you look on the other side, you got Nick Bosa, you got Chase Young, you got Dre Greenlaw, you got Armstead, you got Fred Warner. Like, we've never seen something like this where you literally can have 10 Pro Bowlers go to the league for one team.
Nice secondary too. They're not big names, but they're not.
Yeah, so and one thing a lot of people been talking about is the secondary of the 49ers, but they were able to hold their own. Because you got to look at the young playmakers that they have on Green Bay side: Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, Musgrave, Tucker Kraft. Like, these are not just some little names. These guys have made a name for themselves this year. And it was a great game, man. It really came down to the wire. It was a nail biter. And I'm glad that the 49ers had a game like this, because I'm so much in the crossroads, because I'm rooting for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
But I predicted the 49ers to win. It's just something like you said, I got to stand on that. I'm riding with them.
You remember me when we did this show just a few months back? I said, unfortunately, at the beginning of the season, I said the Dolphins was going to win it, and I have to stand on that. Didn't stand too long though. I'm out. But
we on our Drewski thing. Got to stand on business, man.
It happens.
But let's keep this train rolling, man. We're gonna go over there to Motown, because the Detroit Lions, man, led by the great coach Dan Campbell, was able to take his team back home and hold down home field against Tampa Bay as they defeated the Buccaneers 31-23. Now, I got to give all the love in the world to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield caught so much shit, being bounced around, his stints that he had in Cleveland. I remember, when we had the ASAP show going on, shout out to ASAP Network, and when we would do the morning show and the afternoon blitz. And I remember myself quoting that Baker's just not that guy. Right. And I'm not here to say that he is that guy, but I love to see somebody that can take criticism, and put their head down, get back to the grind, and they come back to show people exactly why he was drafted in the NFL. And Baker Mayfield was able to take this Buccaneers team not only to the playoffs, but to win the NFC South. He won his division. As weak as that division was, somebody had to win it. And he won it. And they had a record of over 500. Baker Mayfield on the day, 26 of 41, 349 yards.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns. Now, he threw 2 interceptions, which I don't believe one of them interceptions was his fault. Bounced right off his player, popped in the air. It happens. Mike Evans, which we don't know if he will be a Buccaneer next year. That's another big name receiver that's going to possibly be in free agency. We're talking about a guy that had 8 receptions for 147 yards and 1 touchdown. Rashad White doing this thing, had 55 rushing yards, 36 reception yards, and 1 reception touchdown. But then if you look on the other side of that field, you got to look at the boys in blue, because Detroit came and showed off. Now, one of my problems with Detroit, I was not one of those people saying that Detroit will win the NFC North because of their quarterback. I did not trust Jared Goff. Jared Goff, I'm here to tell you live on Robs2Cents in front of my boy Mike Hughes and anybody that's viewing this beautiful show right now, I truly apologize. You have acted a fool this year out there on the field. And every time where I thought, Jared Goff, that you would revert back to the old Jared Goff, you continue to amaze me. In this game, 30 or 43 for 287 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, getting the ball to his playmakers all day. I call the Detroit Lions the great value San Francisco 49ers because they don't have that many playmakers on defense. They known for Aiden Hutchinson in the game, but on that offensive side of the ball, they have hella playmakers. We're talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown, who had 8 receptions for 77 yards and 1 touchdown. We're talking about Sam Laporta, who did not get into the end zone for me. He made big catches all day and practically out there hobbling on one leg. We're talking about a two-headed rushing attack in David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jahmyr Gibbs getting 9 carries, 84 yards, and 1 touchdown. The former at Los Angeles Ram and Josh Reynolds, along with Craig Reynolds, no relation, both had a touchdown in this game. Just talk about it, and not to mention Aiden Hutchinson, who was just a monster in this game, who came into the game. Now he had 8 sacks in his last 4 games. That shows you how much of a dog he is, man. This Detroit Lions team, man, it's just something about it, man, that just seems magical, man. Let's talk about it, Mike.
Yeah, most definitely. And we talk about game managers and we talk about how guys are going to continue to develop. Brock Purdy came into an amazing situation as a rookie, and he comes into a fold to where Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and all the other cats in that room are already there. I want to mention Jared Goff to why he was traded in the first place. Jared Goff was traded because he couldn't finish the job, but I also look at a position to where, remember that Rams defense in 2018. The only one that stopped them were the Chicago Bears. So, listen, I don't like to be biased. I love to be biased, but I don't truly ever mean it until this moment. The Chicago Bears were the only ones that had figured out the Los Angeles Rams up to that point. And what they realized was if you forced Jared Goff to go out of his comfort zone and not have to be a game manager, have to actually execute plays and make big-time plays, big-time players make big-time plays, and guys like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and maybe not Josh Allen, maybe Lamar Jackson and others will prevail. A guy like Jared Goff won't. I want to bring this in because I think it's important. Brandon Cooks in that season in 2018 had 1,200 yards on 80 receptions. You look at a Cooper Kupp who was drafted in 2017, only had about 566 yards, something like that on the season. Todd Gurley, obviously, in one of his final years before the derailment and the injuries happened, there wasn't a lot of X factors on that team. Cooper Kupp, in hindsight, is an X factor, but at that time, 566 yards isn't too crazy. The game plan wasn't X factors all over the room. So you had Todd Gurley as your run attack, and that was really it. You know what I mean? Brandon Cooks was never thought out to be a top 5 wide receiver, even in his highest of time. So I think when you get to that point, you realize where Jared Goff is now with Sam Laporta, with Amon-Ra St. Brown, with Jahmyr Gibbs, and shout out to David Montgomery because that
former Bear, the Bears.
Standing on this. I love it. I'm happy for him now. I hated it when he went, but I understand. You know what I mean? I understand.
Hey, it's a business, man. And at the end of the day, you're not tied to these cities, even though you get a connection with the fans, you get a connection with the culture, but at the end of the day, it's about what have you done for me. Players have the same mentality. Us as analysts and coaches and scouts, and they always ask players, we know what you've done, but what have you done for me lately? Players are like that with organizations. What have you done for me lately? I just came out here and had one of the best seasons of my life, and you still debating on whether or not you're going to pay me. But this team is willing to do it. So
exactly. And especially when it's a losing team. Like we talk about Jalen Johnson all the time. Man,
yeah.
I'm a dog, and we winning 3 games a season, and we're happy about it. Y'all don't want to pay me? Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
But the point of that is all that Jared Goff is in a situation right now to where, respectfully, he can't fuck up. You have options out the ass left and right. And I love that part of my language, but it's real. Like Dan Campbell's putting him in a situation. People questioned why they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. It's because if something happens to David Montgomery, then you don't have to force Jared Goff to throw the entire game. You have a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs who is a multi-dual threat running back. I saw Stephen A. Smith's top 5 players in all of the NFL right now remaining in the playoffs. Jahmyr Gibbs was listed number 3. And these were non-quarterbacks, obviously. But, you had, I believe it was Travis Kelce. I forget who 2 was. And then Jahmyr Gibbs was 3.
Jahmyr Gibbs has been a monster all year. I was a little worried. Oh, go ahead. My bad.
No, it was Christian McCaffrey. I don't want to disrespect anybody. That's why I had to get it out. Christian McCaffrey, Travis Kelce, and then Jahmyr Gibbs was 3. And that's a great list to be a part of if you were a rookie running back.
Hell yeah. He was a beast at Bama. And like I said, you talk about one thing that I think a lot of the predecessors of Jared Goff learned from is taking the pressure off Jared Goff. And when you have a two-headed monster at the running attack like Montgomery and Gibbs, you're gonna take a lot of pressure off Goff. I mean, Jameer Gibbs was able to break for like a 25-yard run for a tutty in this game, man. So this dude, they're beasts, and this game between San Francisco and Detroit is going to be an exciting one. This is going to be a battle of juggernauts, man. Anything to say about that before we go on?
Yeah, I just want to wait for Pride, Frankie, and everybody at the ASAP Network for my apology letter. I remember once upon a time when Robs first joined the network, and there was a feud between OBJ and Baker Mayfield. I said, Baker's not the problem.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers called me crazy. Now, I stayed quiet for a while. I stayed quiet in Carolina. I stayed quiet in LA when he was with the Rams.
Yeah.
But the truth has prevailed. He is him, and he has figured out to put the ego aside, and he's just been balling, man. And I love seeing him grow up. I love seeing him become a quarterback first, more than just, QB1. You can mentally be QB1, and that's fine, but you got to show up. There was never a problem with Baker showing up. It was always the mental. It was always, can you contribute to your teammates? Can you get your teammates wide open? Can you make them and elevate their game? You care about the team first, and I've finally seen Baker do that, and I want to continue to show his love because Bake is cooking.
I definitely look at him as a leader of that team, and that's one thing I don't think that he's ever been looked at as far as in his NFL career. But when it comes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you can see the team like react to him. Like, they're ready to run through a wall for Baker, and you can, and he put them in a position to try to win that game. I mean,
with the season over though, because me and you probably won't be talking about them anytime soon until the Super Bowl is over. What kind of extension do you see Baker potentially getting from the Bucs, or do you see him going to a different team?
No, I think he's found a home in Tampa Bay. I don't know if it's going to be like needle mover extension because
kind of like Geno Smith.
He has some things to prove, but I think he's beyond a prove it deal.
Right.
He just took you to the playoffs.
Like, and won again.
And not to mention, not just take you to the playoffs, he beat the Philadelphia Eagles. 100%. I don't care if they had injury problems. I don't care what they was going through. The people that we talking about a team that at one point in time was 10-1.
Yep.
Talking about a team that was 10-1 and everybody was predicting these guys. They're not me, but most of your analysts, quote unquote, was picking these guys to go to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So he beat that team and beat them decisively. Like there wasn't no room for debate. Like, well, maybe if a play or two went this way, Philly would have. No, that was an ass whooping.
Yep.
Like, so I got to give it to Baker. Yeah, he deserves the money. And hey, I'm gonna be the first one to say, if I'm gonna kick you and criticize you when you're messing up, I'm gonna give you love and I'm gonna give you praise and everything that comes with that. When I see you finally elevate your play and be the player who most people thought you can be. I mean, Baker was the man in college, and it's glad to see, like you said, he humbled himself and looked in the mirror and said, "What can I do to prolong my career in the NFL?" And he's doing it, man. But I want to talk about. You said an interesting statement earlier, Mike, and I know it's a simple quote. You said, "Winners win."
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, Patrick Mahomes.
Winners win.
That's what winners do.
I want to say first though, Randy Jowers said it first. I got that from Randy Jowers. He said,
he said it in the thing, and
right after the game.
And you know where I got it from? I got it from Eric Thomas. I don't know if you guys know who ET is, but Eric Thomas is a motivational speaker. He's a reverend. I mean, we're talking about a high school dropout that you now have to call him Dr. Eric Thomas because he has a PhD. He said it in one of his speeches he was giving, and he said, "I don't know what it is, but winners win and losers lose."
Mm-hmm.
And as simple as that sounds, it's a logic behind that because with winning comes a winning mentality. See, winning ain't just about winning. Winning is about the fact of knowing I'm a winner, even in defeat.
Yep.
Because it's not a loss, it's a lesson.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
talk to me, Rob.
That's what Pat Mahomes does. But he just doesn't lose it.
Crazy.
Because let's talk about it. We're talking about the Baltimore Ravens. I'm sorry. The Kansas City Chiefs defeating the Buffalo Bills 27-24. Now Josh Allen is controversial. He was 26 of 39, one touchdown, had 12 carries for 72 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns on the day. A lot of people will say that he lost the game for him.
Yeah.
I don't think so. And I think he had played a part in why they lost. But I'm not going to say that Josh Allen is the reason that they lost. Josh Allen came out there and balled out. I'm not questioning when I make posts like, do we start to think that maybe he's not as good as we think he is? I'm not questioning his skill. I'm questioning his thought process and execution.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you playing a team like Kansas City, you have to execute. Your execution has to be on a different level because now you're playing chess with a savant. Khalil Shakir on the day had a reception touchdown, and as a team, the Bills rushed for 182 yards. I mean, it was a round for round, blow for blow type of game. But when you going against the GOAT, baby GOAT, I'm not gonna call him the GOAT yet because TB still equal TD. But I see that baby GOAT starting to get into adolescence. We're talking about Patrick Mahomes, 17 to 23 on the day, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Pacheco, 15 carries, 97 yards, 1 touchdown. Finally, Travis Kelce decided to show up. 5 receptions, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I have to give a shout out to Andy Reid, who called a superb game on the day. I mean, it was amazing the way that he called this game. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna lose Mike after this, and we're gonna finish it up with basketball, and then I'm gonna be up out of here myself because I have to work. But I just have to talk about Patrick Mahomes going to his 6th straight AFC Conference Championship game. He's only been a starter in the league for 6 years. So that shows you he doesn't know what it feels like to not play for a championship. Mm-hmm. It is amazing. Also, shout out to him and Travis Kelce, who surpassed Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski for the most touchdown passes in the postseason with 16 touchdowns. Mike, let's talk about it, and I'll let you get up out of here, man. Like, to see what Kansas City was able to do. And we're talking about a Kansas City team who offense has looked rudimentary all year. Shout out to my boy V-Dub for teaching me that word. And if you don't know what that means, it's basic. It looked basic all year.
I didn't know what it meant. I know now. I'm going to say that tomorrow at work. You're going to be like, man, Mike's
no, my boy V-Dub, man, we used to give him shit for when we were younger, though, but he's one of those guys. He's like Stephen A. Smith. I'm like, what the hell do you do? Read the dictionary? Or you will ask him a question, he's like, man, the quest that you want is going to be a complicated town. Like young T.I. when we were little. I mean, I'm going to need you to expeditiously get the hell out of my face before you get consequences and repercussions. That's the type of dude he was. So, I'm saying, shout out to my boy V-Dub, though, man. But, yeah, man, like Kansas City, man, continuing to, once again, show that even through all of the troubles that they went through offensively, Travis Kelce disappearing for one time, probably hiding out in Taylor Swift's closet, and
big old closet though. Big old closet.
Ain't swag surfing with T Swift.
Bigger than my bedroom type closet.
Hey, and then to see the rise of Rashee Rice and him stepping up as the wide receiver one and this team starting to get together again. I mean, when is the last time you heard us say the running game and the defense won the game for the Chiefs?
Long time. Alex Smith days, bro. Like it really, I mean, what a phenomenal game. And it shows that Patrick Mahomes is the greatest of all time because in despite of having Matt Nagy as his offensive coordinator, he was willing to get it. Let me stop. No, in all seriousness, man, it's great because a guy like Rashee Rice on the Chicago Bears or the Philadelphia Eagles or the Minnesota Vikings doesn't do what he does without Patrick Mahomes. And I think that's something we talk about. When we talk about winners win, we also talk about how winners help others become winners. You know, Michael Jordan spoke about that all the time about, I didn't just want to win this by myself. I wanted to win this with them. I wanted them to be a part of it. Them as in Steve Kerr, Tony Kukoc, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, et cetera, Bill Wellington. You know, we talk about that all the time. And for Rob, Horace Grant. But you know, got to give some love. But
hey, he did get us 91, 92, and 93. Shout out to HG.
Gotta give it to him. But you know, in all seriousness though, man, I mean, it just solidifies who we've always known Patrick Mahomes is.
Yeah.
And I went into this season dancing because I was like, oh man, this is the year. This is the year we're gonna see a different AFC contender in the Super Bowl.
Yes,
and that still might be the case with Lamar. This is going to potentially be the greatest AFC championship game we've seen in the last 10 plus years between Lamar and Patrick Mahomes. You know, but again, winners win. Now, I'm going to make a comparison that has nothing to do with the NFL, but it has everything to do with the next topic in the NBA. Josh Allen, to me, is the Carmelo Anthony of the NFL. I mean, he's a scorer. He's an absolute monster. He's a bucket getter. He's one of those guys that could put a team on his back and be that franchise guy. But would you ever see him taking a team to the finals? Would you ever see him making other players better? I haven't seen him do it, and I think that's something very interesting for me.
Mike, that was a hot-ass take.
Thank you, sir.
And I agree with that. Like that's what he is. It's not saying that Carmelo is basura.
Hall of Famer. You know
what we're saying is
a winner.
Can you put your hopes and dreams on the back of this guy and say, lead me to the promised land? Ooh, Mike, that was decent.
Man, when I
like that.
When I saw what happened with Rice, I said, that's it.
I like that. You know, now, like I said, there's a lot of blame to go around. You can blame the play calling because, you know, did they put too much stress on Josh Allen and trying to have him become? I mean, when you're leading your team in rushing, that's a problem.
Right.
And you're the quarterback.
Even if you're Lamar Jackson, it's a problem.
It's a problem. It's a problem because you're going to be taking a beating and a pounding, you know, pause. And then also, I know you have to resume. But also, too, you got to think about Stephon Diggs got some blame.
You know, and real quick,
this dude missed a wide open catch.
Let me ask you this. I want Robs2Cents.
Yeah.
I have seen this man, Stephon Diggs, go on the air and trash the Minnesota Vikings organization. I'll let that slide because what he said had validity to it about Adam Thielen, about how they treated him, how they viewed him. Cool.
Yeah.
I've seen him on the sidelines several times cursing out Josh Allen, cursing out other people. 67-yard pass that would have been a walk-in touchdown. And let's not play devil's advocate, but say they win the game. Why don't I see Josh Allen cussing out Stephon Diggs on the sideline? Why don't I see anybody else treating Stephon that way? And
I think Stephon is a little off. I don't think you might want to go. You just might be scared to do. Like, you know what? I'm gonna just let him have it.
But when we talk about egos, Rob, winners can have egos.
Yeah.
But winners understand when they are not bigger than the game anymore.
Yeah.
During that championship season, you have to be one unit. And I have not seen Stephon Diggs take that moment yet. And I want to listen. I'm not a man who knocks down any minority, any man, any woman when they're down, because it's hard enough being a black man in this world because he takes a lot of criticism that Christian McCaffrey might not. That Travis Kelce's been bullshitting on a podcast all year long and fucking around with Taylor Swift. No one says a word. So I'm not trying to knock down anybody. I don't want.
But they've been coming at Michael Parsons.
Exactly. and that's what I want to point out. This is not a black and white thing. I need to make that clear. But what I will say is this: if you're gonna cuss out Josh Allen for not making plays, and then he gifts you a walk-in TD to go to the AFC Championship in your lap, and
to finally beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Hey, man, he's been standing there for 4 years watching that go down, and it ain't changing anytime soon. And that's the problem, right? Winners win, and I'm gonna tell you right now, neither of them are winners.
No, they're not. You know what? And if I was Josh Allen, honestly, I would have had a Brady moment. Like, I would have threw my helmet down. I would have threw the iPad down. I would have looked him in his face and said, you got to catch that. You talk all this shit about you being the number one receiver and how you're the best receiver in the league and that you came here to save us. Well, save me, bro. Catch that ball when I give it to you. I mean, dude, it literally hit him here. The ball hit him here. The pass couldn't have been more perfect for Stephon Diggs. You know, now Josh Allen has some blame to get, Like instead of him throwing the check down to Stephon, he tried to go for the
Right.
home run ball to Khalil, and it just didn't happen for him. Execution. That's what I'm saying. When you are playing a guy like Patrick Mahomes and going against Wicks with a guy like Andy Reid, you have to execute when you have the chance to execute. Because trust me, guys like that make you pay for your mistakes.
Right.
They make you pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, the Buffalo Bills yet again has to go home or Cancun or wherever they're going to vacation at and watch the Super Bowl on their TV sets because they're not going to make it again. And now you start to wonder: does McVay come back? Does Coach Sean McVay come back? Stephon Diggs probably won't be a Buffalo Bill next year.
McDermott, no?
Hey, huh?
I think Sean McDermott, right? Not McVay.
Oh, wait, not McVay. I'm sorry, but Sean McDermott. Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Thank you. That's why I need you here, man. I need you here because there's too many McDays, McDermotts, McCaffreys, I don't give a damn.
McDonald.
Hey, but Mike, man, I'd like to thank you, man, for being a part of this show, man, for coming aboard and gracing us with your presence, man. As I mentioned, y'all, make sure you follow him at Mike on the Mic, the Shy Kid. He's gonna be bringing back the WNBA stuff. Also, follow us on Welcome to Mars. I was gonna get into some basketball topics tonight.
Yes, sir.
But I think I want to save that for our show, so I'm gonna touch on them a little bit while you go ahead and make your exit. But we're gonna save a little bit. I just want to touch on the big nights that they had, and we can go into detail on our show. But yeah, man, I'm about to thanks, Mike. I appreciate you, man. Come back anytime, bro. You're more than welcome to hop on the show.
It's always a blast. I feel like I'm on a different planet. If only they had a show for just Rob Scott and Mike Hughes. Oh, but I'll see
we do. We'll see you guys
later, man. Rob, I appreciate you, brother. Continue to kill it. I'm gonna keep listening. Don't get it twisted. I got the Facebook open right here. I'm gonna keep listening to this NBA content because ain't nothing hotter than Rob Scotty himself.
I appreciate you, Mike, man. Have a good one, brother. Hey, y'all. So, man, I just want to give y'all my predictions. As we said, Kansas City going to be going against the Detroit Lions. It's not just Kansas City. San Francisco going to be going against the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship. It's going to be a great game because, as I mentioned, we're talking about two teams that have so many playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. I think the thing is going to come down to defense. Which defense can survive? And I think the defense for the San Francisco 49ers is just better than the Lions. If Aiden Hutchinson for the Lions cannot get penetration on that offensive line, then I think that they're going to be able to stop him. I think the big question is going to be, is Debo going to be healthy? Because I don't put stock in the 49ers without their full roster. I've been going with the 49ers to win the Super Bowl, so of course I got to go with the 49ers to win against the Detroit Lions. I think it's going to be a shootout. And honestly, I don't want it to be too much of a shootout because then it kind of goes into the Lions' favor. So I'm going to predict a score of 35-24 San Francisco over the Detroit Lions. And then when it comes to and shout out to the Lions too. I mentioned this earlier. This is the first time that they won two playoff games since 1957. So it shows you a lot of losing that Detroit has been going through. So shout out to the Lions for making it this far to the conference game. And then we're going to have the Baltimore Ravens versus the Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be a game I think is going to come down to the wire because there's something about Pat Mahomes. He plays better the more pressure that he has on him. We know the Ravens come in with the number one ranked defense in the league. We know that Kansas City comes in with one of the greatest offensive play callers in a head coach in Andy Reid. And I think this is just going to be a battle of wits. Lamar Jackson is historically 1-4 against the Chiefs in his young career. And we know that this defense for the Ravens is the first team to lead the NFL in points allowed, sacks, and takeaways. It just shows you how badass this Ravens defense is, man. I'm going to have to go with the Baltimore Ravens, man. It's tough to bet against Patrick Mahomes, but I just think Lamar Jackson He's gonna make his first Super Bowl appearance. I think that defense will prove too much because we just saw this same Kansas City Chiefs team have a hard time going against the Buffalo Bills. What you think is gonna happen to the Ravens? We're talking about a team in the Ravens that didn't even get a sack in the game that they won this past weekend against who did they play? I just had a brain fart already. In the game that they just won against in the Texas. I'm sorry, Houston. I don't mean to do y'all like that. Yeah, it's just been so long since y'all been in the playoffs. Had a little brain fart. So what you think this defense is gonna do to Kansas City, man? As great as Mahomes is, it's just some things you can't overcome. And it's gonna be hard to overcome that Baltimore defense. Let's get into a little bit of the NBA, y'all, man. Kevin Durant had back-to-back 40-point nights, had 43 against the Chicago Bulls, include a go-ahead jumper, leaving 1.6 seconds left on the clock. It was a double-clutch jumper, too. Right now, the Suns are on a six-game winning streak. But and then we saw my boy Karl Anthony Towns. He had a great game, ended up scoring 62 points in the game. Unfortunately, it was a loss to the Charlotte Hornets. They would end up losing that game 128 to 125. But Karl Anthony Towns had 62 points, 21 to 35 from the field, 10 of 15 from distance, 10 of 14 from the free throw, 8 rebounds, but he had 7 turnovers. Unfortunately, this big game was clouded in a loss. The man had passed Kobe Bryant in first half scoring 44 points in the first half. He just cooled off in the second half. I know his coach had something to say about it, saying basically that pretty much the Minnesota Timberwolves got away from basic basketball and that they were not, looking to make basketball plays. They were looking to feed the high hand, but unfortunately, Karl Anthony's hands wasn't hot anymore. But the real member of the day and big performer was this man right here, Joel Embiid. Ladies and gentlemen, that is no aberration. I wish they would have gave the man a damn magic marker to make that brighter. But y'all, 70 points on the day. I mean, Joel Embiid was absolutely crazy against the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, the Spurs, the Philadelphia 76ers would defeat the Spurs 133 to 123. If I told y'all that somebody had 33 points, 10 of 19 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3-point line, 11 of 12 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 turnover, you would say that that person had an awesome game and that that person probably led their team to victory. But then when I tell you the guy that they were going against had 70 points off 24 41 from the field, 1 or 2, only hit 1 3-pointer in his route to 70 points. Now he was 21 to 23 from the free throw line, which is amazing for a big man. 18 rebounds, 9 offensive boards, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, and only 1 turnover. And he did all that in 36 and a half minutes. Joel Embiid, that boy cold. And he surpassed Will Chamberlain, if you can believe, in being and scoring the most points in Philadelphia 76ers franchise history. Oh, Joel Embiid is one of them, for real. Or in the words of my boy Corporate, he one of them, not one of those. Shout out to my boy Corporate. As you guys know, big news happened today as the Milwaukee Bucks fired head coach Adrian Griffin, which is hard to believe. They're firing a guy who was second in the Eastern Conference with a record of 30-13, and you fire that guy. Now we're going to talk about it more tomorrow on Welcome to Mars Show with me and Mike Hughes. But I wonder what happened behind the scenes that led to coaches firing. Also, we had some huge trades that has happened. Pascal Siakam was traded to the Indiana Pacers for Bruce Brown and some possible draft picks. We already know about OG Anunoby being traded to New York. Being traded to New York for R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley, who now plays in Toronto. And we just had a huge trade today scary Terry Rozier has been traded to the Miami Heat for Kyle Lowry in the first round 2027 draft pick. It is about to get scary in Miami, ladies and gentlemen. I think that tandem of Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Terry Rozier, Bam Adebayo, and my boy Jaime Jaquez Jr. Oh, it's about to get scary in Miami. Don't be surprised if Miami makes it back to the thick of things. And before I get up out of here, we know that the All-Star Weekend is coming up February 16th through the 18th. And before All-Star Weekend gets here, I wanted to take y'all through a new segment called Rob's All-Star Starters. Now, I know fans are going to be able to choose on who the starters are going to be, but sometimes you can have an opinion. It just doesn't mean that your opinion is the right opinion. I'm going to give you my starters on who I think should start in the All-Star game. Let's go to the Eastern Conference starters, baby. Rob's All-Star starters. Of course, I got to go with Joel Embiid, who's averaging 36 points on the year. In 21 straight games, the man has scored at least 30, also averaging double digits of rebounds, and as I mentioned, just had 70 points upon the head top of the San Antonio Spurs. At number 4, at the power forward, I gotta go with Giannis Antetokounmpo, man. Now, say what you want about the Greek Freak, and I understand that there might be some problems that he might have had with Adrian Griffin. Basically, Giannis, he's gonna be the reason why a coach get fired, and I don't think he ever really got over the fact that they let go of Coach Mike Budenholzer for Adrian Griffin. As we know, Giannis was a fan for Mike Budenholzer. But regardless of whatever's been going down, as I mentioned, the Milwaukee Bucks are second in the Eastern Conference right now, and Dame hasn't been Dame. Giannis has been carrying this team and showing everybody why he's still considered the Greek Freak. At small forward, I got to go with Jason Tatum. He's been leading this Boston Celtics team, who looks like one of the scarier teams, if not the scariest team in the NBA. They are number one in the Eastern Conference right now. He's definitely in the MVP discussion and might be the new light-skinned assassin. At shooting guard, I got to go with my boy Donovan Mitchell. Spider, especially as of lately, has been on a tear. Cleveland, who hadn't started out too good early in the season, now you look up, they are fourth place in the Eastern Conference, and they've been dealing with injury problems all year, with Darius Garland being in and out of the lineup, Evan Mobley being in and out of the lineup, Jared Allen being in and out of the lineup, and yet the Cleveland Cavaliers have had one constant, that's in Donovan Mitchell being able to show everybody that he can still get buckets with the best of them. He's been possibly in talks of trade conversation, but right now, if I'm Cleveland, you might as well ride this thing on out to the end of the season because D. Mitch is balling right now. And at number 1, at the point guard position, I got to go with Tyrese Halliburton, leading the NBA right now in assists. I saw firsthand what he did to us at the Chicago Bulls game that I went to a week or two ago, man, where he gave us 20 and 20, 20 points, 20 assists. I mean, Hallie was doing his thing, made us all say, oh, Lord, hallelujah, because that man was out there balling, man. Shout out to Tyrese Halliburton. That's who I think should be the Eastern Conference starters. Tyrese Halliburton, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, on the course of my boy Joel Embiid. But let's go to the Western Conference starters who Rob thinks should start in the West. Now, this might be a little controversial, but we're going to get into it. I know one name ain't controversial. It has to be Nikola Jokic, who I think is now, even though Joel Embiid has been going off until proven otherwise, he's still been playing like the best player in the league. He just does it so effortlessly. Denver right now, I believe, is third in the Western Conference, right behind OKC and Minnesota. And I mean, Jokic, as long as he's on your team, you have a chance. This dude does it all. You need him to score, he can do that. You need him to hit the three, he can do that. You need him to pass the ball, he can do that. You need him to run the floor, he can do that. You need him to rebound, he can do that. Jokic can just do it all, man, and he does it like he just woke up in the morning and said, you know what? I'm just gonna play basketball today. Jokic deserves to be a starter in the All-Star game at power forward. I know a lot of people was thinking I was gonna pick LeBron James. I know a lot of people was thinking I was gonna pick Kevin Durant, but no, I have to go with the claw. Shout out to my boy Anthony, who's been on everybody's ass about how great the Clippers have been doing, and he is right. Kawhi Leonard, the leader of this Clippers team, who has just turned it around and has become one of the scarier teams, not just in the Western Conference, but in the NBA, led by Kawhi, who's been doing this thing. And ladies and gentlemen, he's been healthy this year. You got to give love to the claw. At small forward, I know Luka is considered a guard, but Luka has done so much this year that I had to squeeze him in somewhere as an all-star starter. Luka Doncic has been playing out of his mind. Remember, they lost Kyrie for a little point in time. Luka holding down the fort. I mean, just the other night, even though they lost to the Boston Celtics, the man had 33 points, 18 rebounds, 13 assists, and that was an off night. It just shows you how great Luka is, man. And I had to get Luka in there, even as a forward, even though I know there's just no way you can do that. But this is Robin, it's not yours. As shooting guard, I got to go with SGA because I have to reward him and what he's been doing with the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're talking about a Thunder team who's second in the Western Conference. And we're talking about a Thunder team who's been going through all of these problems with Josh Giddey. Did he do it? Did he not do it? And they've been able to stay focused and stay afloat. And that's been because of this guy, Mr. Jump Off 2 feet and dunk your ass. Because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is him. And I'm telling y'all right now, it's going to be a lot of teams that don't want to play the Thunder when it comes to the playoffs. And of course, at point guard, I gotta go with my boy Anthony Edwards, man. I have to reward winners. The Minnesota Timberwolves are number one in the Western Conference. No, this is not a fluke. We are 40 games into the season, halfway done in the season, and they are still number one. I know Karl-Anthony Towns went for 62 the other night. I know Anthony Edwards only gave us 9, and I'm not giving him no excuses. I understand he was dealing with an illness, but if you lace up and go play on that court, you will be judged accordingly. But what he has done prior to that game, he has been an absolute stud, an absolute monster, an absolute beast, and whatever other adjective I can use to describe this man's game, that's what he's been doing. They've been calling him the second coming of Michael Jordan. As I mentioned before, I will not go that far, but I will say that Anthony Edwards is a dog, and I got nothing but love for this dude, man. This guy is an absolute beast, and that's Rob starters for this All Star game, man. I'm talking about, you can't go wrong with who I chose to be my starters, man. And as we get ready to dwindle down to the end of this show, I appreciate everybody who has been here. I'm going to start Donovan Mitchell right now, man. Spider is a dog, man. And I appreciate you, Mike, for continuing to watch the show, man. As we get down to the nitty gritty, man, we're down to the end of the show. I'd like to thank everybody for being with us. I know we went a long time tonight, but, I had to get a lot of things off my chest. As I mentioned earlier in the show, we are on the eve of January 26th, which is a day that I still get sad about. We lost a great one in Kobe Bean Bryant, and uh, it's still hard to comprehend that a guy that had so much life and so much love to give to his family and so many things to teach these young women about the game of basketball and to teach the world about the game of basketball and discipline. It's hard to believe that we no longer have Kobe here. So, in honor of Kobe, my video of the week will be Kobe Bryant's clips of Kobe Bryant's last game. Take a but there's a side to you that I never Bryant going to the basket. Never to win the game. You would always been on the wing, but I said 60. What can I say? Pump out. When I tell y'all, man, I still go back and watch that game. I cried during that game. I was seeing my hero, my childhood hero, retire, and I cried like a baby when he passed away.
You know, I saw my hero, who I thought was Superman, who I thought was invincible, be taken out by life. And you know, we still mourn Kobe. We still mourn his daughter. We still mourn every family that was aboard that helicopter crash, man. You know, our thoughts and prayers are with your surviving family members, and we hope that they've been able to somehow find peace in such a tragedy. But we got nothing but love over here, and as far as I'm concerned, you know, Kobe's my goat. I got him number two all time behind Michael Jordan, and I'm gonna continue to always talk about what Kobe Bryant meant to me. He's the reason I'm in this podcasting game. You know, and I plan to live my life like the Mamba and have that Mamba mentality, to be tenacious and to be, you know, consistent in everything that I do. And that's my show, ladies and gentlemen, man. I appreciate everybody who tuned in, everybody who liked, everybody who commented, everybody who just came through to show love, man. I am nothing without you guys, man. And you guys keep me going. And I'm gonna make sure I keep pushing out this content, man. I hope you all have a great evening. We'll see you guys next week. We'll talk about what went down in the AFC and NFC championship game. And we're gonna talk about who's going to the Super Bowl and my Super Bowl predictions, baby. Hopefully the 49ers are still in it and your boy still looks like Robs2Cents. But until then, in the meantime, between time, make sure you stay productive. Make sure you still get at it. Make sure you still chase your dreams, man, because only you can get you where you trying to go, man. I love y'all. Have a good one. And you already know the slogan, baby. We gone. There's a bigger fight going on. There's a much bigger agenda than the streets. And I know sometimes it's hard to see that far in front of us, but we have to look past the illusions, look past the delusions of grandeur, and look at the bigger picture. We need to become better versions of ourselves each and every day. Fight for what you believe in. Because if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. We just getting started, baby. You guys know the slogan now. Hope you all have a great evening. And we gone.